You never tell me. You can never tell me. I won't rise.
Celtics better win. All right, cool.
I was at the game a couple weeks ago.
Shut up. Shut up. I don't want to hear none of that.
Well, I mean, they barely won, though. I'm like, what the hell are you guys doing?
Who did they play?
The Pelicans. They were in, like, last place in the West.
Dang. Do you follow basketball at all?
Not as much as I'd like.
Yeah.
It would be the sport I would follow, though.
Word. Yeah. I'm usually Celtics fan in and out, but yeah, they got some things to figure out. But that's neither here nor there.
I was just saying, too, like, if they're going to make a run to the finals and if we're going to win again, like, we got to start stomping on teams.
Yeah.
Like, why are you just, like, taking a step back? You know, I mean, yeah, you have a long season. You got a lot of back-to-backs, but come on.
Yeah, they're only winning games by, like, 4.
Just barely,
6.
yeah.
Like, it is what it is. How's everybody doing? How you guys?
Pretty good. Had some fire Colombian food today.
Colombian food?
Colombian food, yes.
Oh, boy. What, like some like rice and stuff? Like
yeah,
rice,
rice, beans.
That was very, was that racist? That's very racist.
Rice.
I went right for the rice and beans when he said Colombian. Like, yeah, we know what you guys make. What else? What is rice and beans?
There's a lot of other stuff too. There was like pork. There was some eggs on top.
That sounds fire.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna hold you. That sounds fire.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, I want to like grow into be a foodie. I really do. I do enjoy trying food. I just never go out to seek it. And I think that's my problem.
Yeah.
Because then like when I was in Atlanta, they took us to, where did we go? Oh, I had,
Wendy's.
Yeah. No, that was the one thing I said before we got there. I said, when we get to Atlanta, I'm not going to a single restaurant that I can get to up here.
Yeah, it's like a travel rule. Is like I'm not trying to eat anywhere that's like a chain I can have back home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'll go to a chain that I can't. Like I'll go to In-N-Out or Del Taco or something.
Yeah.
Like that, but I'm not trying to have like the Deadly 5 or whatever. It is
Yeah.
around our way.
Yeah, exactly. Like Chick-fil-A. Like, dude, no, I can get that.
Exactly.
I can get that
I'm
anywhere.
not going down south to have Chick-fil-A.
No. I'm gonna get real chicken.
It's got to be a delicacy. Like, if I ask, like, okay, I'm going to this city. Like, I know, this group of people is from that city. Like, where should I eat?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what is, like, the number one thing to get?
Mm-hmm. We got ramen.
Oh, that's cool.
Like ramen, because like initially, when I used to hear ramen, your little square packages.
Yeah, you think like a little $1 at the grocery
Yeah.
store.
Yeah, and then like we're sitting down, and I'm like looking over the menu, and I'm like, yeah, I'm down to go. And then I'm like looking at the stuff, I'm like, oh, okay, this is like way more in depth than I actually thought it would be.
Yeah.
Which is cool, and I'm like, all right, I'm here for it. And then I tried it, and I was like, yeah, I could come back like every day. I could come back for this every day, but I don't live in Atlanta, so I got to find a spot up here.
Right.
Anybody know any ramen spots up here? Do you know any?
No, not really. I mean, I know there's like,
Cambridge, I would imagine.
That's true.
I know there's like some faux places.
Yeah.
I've had my fill of pho or fa, however you.
Faux fa, tea la do da.
Yeah, literally.
Tea dough.
Yeah, right on Drum Hill, faux de la or fa de la, right on Drum Hill.
I pass that all the time.
Yeah, they're not bad, but I don't know. I need to try something new. I know I have my friend he's from Atlanta. He's coming up in March, and I'm like, dude, I gotta, because he is like a diehard foodie, and I'm like, yo, I cannot be like, yo, you want to like roll up to like Olive Garden or something? He's gonna be like, yeah,
Olive Garden,
dude, get out of here.
You gotta have all the specialty spots like planned out ahead of time.
Yeah,
you do.
I'd be like screen recording stuff. So like I'll see stuff on Instagram, and I'll like I don't know if you ever seen the Roaming Foodie.
Yes.
Like from New England.
Yeah.
And shout out to him. He actually was in some like crazy car accident.
Oh, snap.
And, like has been like recovering, but he's still doing review stuff now.
Nice.
And dude, I'll watch like videos like his, and I'll just screen record them and save them in like a little folder on my phone. That's like places to visit. Like,
That's smart.
I haven't made it to most of them, but I keep saving them as if I'm gonna go there someday.
At some point, you will for sure.
Yeah. Nah, you will. Yeah, I'm gonna have to start doing that because I'm gonna just, you know what I'm gonna do? Like, I'm gonna just yell into my phone a bunch of times, like restaurants, and then I'm gonna like search a bunch of restaurants on my phone so that Instagram and Facebook decide to throw me ads of local restaurants.
Yeah.
Of stuff that I haven't tried yet because
Yeah.
that's, you know, they like to spy on us. So it is what it is. We're gonna try it. How have you been, man? It's been some time.
It's been a long time.
I mean, we see you pop. You know, I've seen you popped out here and there,
Yeah.
but you know, to sit down and
I know. It's
chop it
my
up.
first time on the pod. You
First
guys
time
are
on the
like,
pod.
what, over 150 episodes deep now?
Yeah, man, you're 126.
Okay, so we're getting there. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Dude. That's so cool, though. I
Yeah.
love to see, like, how far you've taken it.
Yeah, it's been fun, man. It's been quite the journey for sure, but it's been worth it. You're doing your own podcast now.
Yeah, we do a live show on Mondays at 8 p.m. It's
Where-
called Cody Central.
Cody Central. I
I
like
just
that.
literally interview people that I think are impactful or people that have motivated me in some capacity.
Word.
And it's like a live stream interview, so it's like I'll have questions for them.
Yeah.
But because we do it live, the audience can also like interject questions, and we'll throw them up on the screen and stuff. It's been really fun.
Yeah.
I've talked to like chefs and comedians, and of course like musicians, and it's been really photographers, skateboarders. Like it's been really cool.
That's cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's always cool to like have those different types of people. Like we've had authors, I've had skateboard artists, we've had MMA fighters, pastors, like I don't want to say and everything in between. Obviously, artists.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Cool to have such like an eclectic
Yeah.
roster of guests.
Yeah, like the stories that you hear is really incredible.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're just like, man, like I had no idea that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we just had a
Could
guy
happen to
who
a
does EMDR therapy, and he's like a life coach kind of person.
Mm-hmm.
And man, the stories that he had were like, it was like my heart was just like, oh my god, dude, like I'm
Yeah.
glad you're still here. Like,
Yeah.
it was like very heavy stuff, but that's what's cool. And then the next week I had 2 stand-up comedians.
So
Oh, nice.
kind of breaks it up a little bit. Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
It's like you just never know what it's gonna be like, and that's what makes it so fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's why like I'm down for like I think everybody has their own unique story that they can share and just giving I know they always say like, oh, there's so many podcasts out there, but it's like let's give people sometimes there aren't always those platforms that are reachable for people to be able to share their story and have those conversations because it's like either like too far out of reach of like who the host is, there's some very well popular podcasts out there and the odds of you getting on a podcast like that are very can be slim to none.
Exactly. It's tough, and it's like even like we're all pretty like seasoned artists in our own right, and we know that going on the podcast circuit helps us get the word out to new audiences about our main objective, which are art. And even being this seasoned, it's like we're not lining up podcast appearances all the time. It's like, you watch like I don't know, like I follow stand-up comedy a lot. I love comedy.
Yeah.
And you'll see these guys do sometimes like 3, 4, 5 podcasts a month. You'll see one comedian on all these different shows when they have a special coming out. Like there's like a true circuit in it, and they really make it work for them.
Yeah.
And I've yet to really see anything that's really parallel to that in music. So
Yeah, for sure.
kinda just up to those of us that need it to create it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally at that point, you just kind of got to take it into your own hands and just figure it out and do it
Yeah.
and not wait around and sit around, But for those of you that may not know, because I know I've talked about it like 1,000,001 times, but this is the Cody Pope.
Oh,
Helped me at the beginning of my career when I first started. Carlo Rose.
yeah, big ups to
Those
Carlo
big
Rose.
ups to Carlo Rose. Long time. It was like 20 for my era was like 2013, 2014. I think my first show too was like on my birthday or like the day after too, which was cool.
We did the first MLC at Carlo Rose
Misery Loves Company.
In 2014,
Yep.
and then we basically started the residency like right from there. And so we did every other Friday and then every other Thursday in between those Fridays. So we literally had a show like every single week.
Yeah.
So by the time that run was done, we did hundreds of shows.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we were there from 2014 to about 2017, 2018.
Mm-hmm.
That was when 2017 is when things like really we started doing like once in a blue moon kind of stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, that place was
Yeah,
a
sounds
huge
about
part
right.
of my foundation.
Yeah, because when I shot the video for Just for Kicks, they were making their changes.
Yeah.
They were making their changes to that, or they were like, it was like in the ideas. Like we were talking to Everett and right Everett.
Yeah.
My
Shout
memory
out
is
to
bad.
Everett Gibbons.
Everett Gibbons, yeah. We were talking to him, and I think his mom was there too. And
Yeah.
you know, they were just like kind of talk, you know, just like things were in the air, and you're just like, man, like, but just
Dude, even Everett had one of my favorite songs from last year. He put out a song called Rent's Due last year. That was so good. I only say that because I don't know if you guys have heard Hybrid Theory Radio yet.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
So-
we've been on it.
Yeah, oh, that's
little
right.
while
You guys
back.
did do that.
Yeah.
I,
It's all good. My
I was
memory.
literally
Yeah.
listening to that episode and texted into the show.
Oh, word. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm so dumb.
No, you're good.
So
You're good.
the Hybrid Theory guys asked me to come on the show back in like January,
Okay.
and they I basically compiled a list of my 10 of my favorite New England hip hop songs
Word.
of 24.
Okay.
And so I like broke down why they were my favorite songs, and then they would play them. And it was like a really fun thing. They
That's
kinda,
super dope.
Dropped it on me, and I was like, I got to do some research.
Yeah,
you know,
right?
It's like you listen to so much stuff in the course of a year
Yeah.
to be like, okay, I got to pick 10, and they need to be from New England. Or,
Yeah.
Right. And I got to talk about it, you know, explain like why it's so important.
Yeah.
Well, to you, you know. So, but yeah, that would be, I couldn't even try to think of,
It's hard to explain because I don't know.
I couldn't even pick like 5 songs like right now. Like,
There's
like,
so much
to
out there.
narrow it down, like you said, like to narrow it down to like,
And then sometimes you find out about stuff late. So there was stuff that I like had in mind that I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be on here, and then I was like, oh, it came out in November of 2023, and I just found it like 4 months later.
yeah.
Or just our whole consumption and indigestion of music is just so crazy nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's so much coming out now too, where it's like, I mean, most artists drop what, like once a month, once every other week,
Yeah.
like at
Once a
this point.
year.
Yeah, you know, so it's like it's hard to keep track of all those, you know, all the stuff that's popping out. It's like you don't even get to like really appreciate and digest music nowadays because it's like all of a sudden there's something new that's out, and you're like, okay, all right, well now I gotta on to the next one, you know. How's the music going?
It's been great, man. These last few years have been really, really important for me. Really big, like, building blocks. And it's cool because obviously you've known me since before this, like, I don't want to say, like, transition, but one of the things that I would say is, like, changed with my catalog of music and the way that I, like, write music and stuff now is that, me and Byron are essentially like almost like a band, you know. It's like we have basically made it our goal to be on some like Pete Rock and CL Smooth, Gangstar, Eric B and Rakim, you know, like we just have a great chemistry, and I enjoy making music with him and performing with him. So it's like I don't really have an interest in like going back and just like being a solo artist like that again. Like, I'll still do stuff on my own, of course, but really it's about what we're doing at the Focus. And so knowing my catalog before I had met him, you know, like I obviously do a lot of like trauma processing, for lack of a better term, with my music, and share stories that are like pretty deep and pretty heavy for people. And I'm so grateful that I had the opportunity to do that stuff. But one of the things that was important was like having Byron's name on those records. It's like, in a way, I'm speaking on behalf of both of us. Not that I'm like speaking for him, but just that what I'm saying represents both of us. And so it was like a really important goal of mine to change the like outbound process of why I was writing, because in a lot of those older songs it's just me kind of like reliving these like tough experiences sometimes,
Yeah.
you know, or figuring out surviving the war in my head kind of
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
And that was important stuff for people. Like I'm glad that I did it. People really like gravitated to it, but it took a toll on me, and it took a toll on the people around me, and it became hard to do certain songs over time. And
Yeah.
so I really wanted to figure out how to like alter my perspective and be like, look, it's like the Cody Pope brand is being vulnerable, is being raw, being honest, like not like holding things back because you think it's going to make somebody uncomfortable. You know, that's always been part of how I create.
For sure.
But the thing that was important was like, if I'm going to take you down that road, I need to show you how to like overcome it, or how to like come out clean on the other side, and to show people, you know, the thing that I'm like trying to learn is how to be more grateful. One of the songs on the new album is called Gratitude, and the way that I wrote it, I put like parentheses around the GR, and so there's like always the attitude at the end, because it's like I'm trying to break that difference of like I've had this like attitude, and I've had this chip on my shoulder for so many years, and such a displacement about the world around me, that it's like, you know, now I have a different group of people in my life, and they have families, they have people they love, they have aspirations, and so it's really changed the way that I see the world, and it's made me like want to be a more I don't want to say like a better writer, but I have more intention with what I'm writing. It's not just catharsis anymore.
Yeah,
You know, a lot of my old stuff was like for me. It was like, I need to get this out.
My name is Cody, and I'm not having a good day.
Yeah.
Good day. I love
And
that
was,
song.
I love that song. And it's funny because we still play that song.
Word.
It came out in 2018, and to this day we can seldom ever close a show without doing that song.
I love that song.
But that was also a huge turning point for me too. So a lot of people don't realize that so when that album came out, I loved that album, and I like poured my heart into it, and I deployed a lot more resources to it than the previous album. I booked a big tour, not big, but like a 2-week run of shows to coincide with it, and everything went bust when that album came out. Like, it's funny now, because now so many people know that song, and, you know, that's like what they know me for.
Yeah.
But when it came out, dude, I just couldn't get the gravity that it needed. And the shows, I'd drive 2 hours to a show, and there'd be 6 people there.
You're like,
you know,
how
that
am
stuff
I?
that just like eats you up, but you got to go and like do the job, because it's like, this is what we signed up for.
Right, yeah.
But between that and then the album just like not selling well in general, and like the album before it just getting a much better response overall, I just was really like questioning myself and being like, what am I doing? Like, like, I love this, but why are other people not loving it? And like, I felt confident about my show. You know, you know, like, my show has always been something that I like take a lot of pride in.
For sure.
And so it's like, I can seldom ever think of a time that I phoned it in at a show. You know, it's like, I always like leave it on the floor.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that whole experience, I just was like, maybe I need to like step back and just like see what I'm missing. And I decided to close the label that we had at the time, Vatican Life Music Group.
Yep.
Because I just had felt that I was deploying too much into that, and it was a series of putting out a record for an artist, and then that artist falling off and not really like fulfilling their potential.
Yeah.
And that happened a number of times, and so it was like, I need to like focus on what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because clearly I anchor a lot of these things that I've started, and so if I'm not sustainable, I can't help anybody else grow from the jump. And so, taking that time off, I decided to start a new record label, but I also made it a point that I was going to host it as a publishing company, because I wanted to get into writing, like more traditional writing.
Yeah.
Books, podcasts, things of that nature.
For sure.
And within a couple of years of doing that, as the pandemic started to shift to where we could go and do stuff again, I met Byron, and we really just hit it off creatively, and now he's come on board to run the label with me, and
Nice.
it's really like the stuff that we've been doing since he came on board has really like set the tone for what Hellhound Publishing is going to be like going forward. And he's really deployed a lot of resources that helped us grow this thing in a way that I wouldn't have been able to do just by myself.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And I think it speaks to a lot, like, you know, you mentioned something as far as like, you know, the shift in what how you're writing your music and just the feel and the tone. And I think it speaks to like how like you can find that producer that can either fit like the mold of what you're trying to do, because like sometimes you can work with people and like they just don't grasp what it is that you're trying to do.
Yeah.
But like when you can find somebody that literally is like essentially in your head almost, you know, whether you give him the idea or like you already have the words and they're able to make the beat off of, you know, your emotion, or the beats that they're producing just go along with like your style and like the emotion that you're, you know, you kind of like encapsulate throughout all your different styles of music. You know what I mean? Like finding somebody to be able to do that is like, it's huge. It's huge. So it's like that connection that you guys have in the creation process makes it so much easier as you're creating, you know?
Yeah, so much of it really was a timing thing too, because when I started early on, you know, I put out my first projects in like 2012, 2013. So it's like people thought I was a lot more seasoned than I was, and that was mostly just because I had been playing in bands and stuff like that when I was a teenager.
Right.
But shortly after I put out my first few mixtapes, I got connected to a producer who had previously been from Nashua, who was like an industry producer and has like gone on to do tremendous things. And this guy kind of like saw what I was trying to do and started giving me beats and like teaching me how to do the royalty thing with like ASCAP, and like he really just like mentored me, showed me how to use Ableton. I bought my first mic and audio interface because of his like recommendation. So he really like put me on game. But the record that we did, so we did an album and 2 EPs together, and the music was dope. It was I'll go back today and listen to the album from 2014, and it's like, the songs like mean so much to me. I love them, but they never took off, and like the project never went anywhere. Most people, like, if you weren't rocking with me at that time, and even people who were, like, don't necessarily know that album like that. But it's got 20 songs of like fire music. But the thing is there was a disconnect because of our age and our experience. He wasn't invested in me, and I don't say that disparagingly, but like, he was working with like Talib Kweli and Snoop Dogg and Ableton and like really big things. And so like I hadn't shown enough to like earn more of his investment.
Right. And
I didn't have the experience to utilize those tools the best way possible. You know, it's like somebody giving you, you know, like a $20,000 or I don't know, some like $100,000 race car where you barely know how to drive. Let alone drive a manual from like a European company. You know what I mean? It's like, that was the thing, is like he gave me tools that I didn't have the experience to wield. And so I probably let him down in the long run, and the relationship just ended up moving on. And then obviously, like, a lot of people know me from my work with Bizza. Me and 8Bizza have like a number of albums together. He's one of my best friends. The stuff that him and I did together was definitely like the backbone of my like career musically. And I'm always going to cherish that.
Oh, of course.
But even at that point, he was more experienced than me, and we had different artistic goals. You know, I always had this idea of like pursuing a touring thing, like being a more sustainable artist. He's very much like a more like, I guess, like primitive artist, where it's like he just wants his freedom and his liberation to make his thing. And as long as he has the space to make that thing, he's fulfilled in doing that. And so like, you don't want to like push that sometimes. It takes the purity out of what he's doing. And he has a method to what he does. He has his setups that he likes. He has his way of doing things. So there was never like like we always rocked together because we were best friends.
Of course.
But then eventually it was like he does his own shows. He goes and does beat shows. He does whatever. So like that was not going to be like a feasible option.
Yeah, sustainable over just a longer period that you were looking for as far as your own pathway.
Yeah, and so I took a lot of time off from doing shows from like 2018 to 2021. I really didn't do many shows. I did like maybe like 2 or 3 shows in that time, and it was just like favors for friend kind of things, out of town stuff that like people that my friends weren't going to come to kind of stuff. And I just like, it was like, I just was like, I don't know if I'm going to go back and do this. And thank goodness that in 2021, I think it was like my 31st birthday maybe or something like that. I suck at time.
It's all good.
I wanted to do a show because that was always my thing. We did the Omega Summer Festival usually around my birthday or something to that effect. And it had been a long time at that point. So I was like, I haven't really done a show my way at this point a couple years.
Yeah.
Let alone a hometown show that like my family and friends could come to.
Yeah, yeah.
So I found a spot downtown that was willing to work with me, and they were really cool. It was called Rage Cage.
Yeah, I love the Rage Cage.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. We ended up coming down. So so this is how that kind of came to be, was me doing this birthday show there. And I booked Des the Baker on that show. Byron and Des were friends. Me and Byron always had like the same kind of like Venn diagram of friends and just never met.
Yeah.
So he came to that show to support Des, and both of us just kind of had like you're BG? Like, oh, you're Cody Pope.
Oh, yeah.
And like, dude, that was the best thing that's happened to my career. Like, the albums that I've made with him are like the best work that I've made. They're the things that I'm the most proud of, the things I feel like the most growth with. Our live show is like so much fun and has become bigger and better and more nuanced with time. And we just have this great chemistry where we can kind of go into things like we'll have a set list, but he'll call an audible sometimes to like mess with me.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, can I pull this one off? Like,
right.
And we just have this great banter and rapport. And as like a business partner and a friend, he's one of the best people and the most like trustworthy people and the most honest people that I can have a relationship with in that capacity. And so it was like things just really have like turned up great for me since then. And so it just reminded me that like I've been at this for what feels like a long time, but sometimes like your timing isn't always the timing that you've like set for yourself.
For sure.
It sounds kind of cliche, but it's like I had all the resources and all the means and all the gas in my tank to do this thing 10 years ago. I didn't understand the world I was navigating in. I didn't know the like ins and outs of the business stuff.
Yeah.
And so by like meeting Byron later down the road, we were both at a more comparable place where it's like we're both learning this as we go, and we're both bringing our experiences to the table as well.
Yeah.
And so it's made this thing like really powerful. You know, we have 2 albums, 2 EPs.
Word.
We've done 2 Nashua Public Library seminars. We've done 3 holiday strolls, which is Nashua's like downtown music festival.
Word.
So it's like in this short amount of time, a lot of stuff has happened, and so it's like I could have never done that on my own.
Right.
Yeah, it's important to have a team because like it is a lot for one person to take. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, and it's amazing how things come full circle. Like you could fall flat, you know, one year, and then like the next year, like things, you know, start happening, and you know, it's great to see.
Yeah, for sure. And I was thinking too, like it was kind of like one of those moments where, you know, because you were saying there was like moments where you felt like you had to, you were the anchor, right? And so, you know, it kind of like flips because then now you have like Byron who's here, like kind of pushing you, like helping you push that envelope.
Yeah.
It's like I need somebody to like not necessarily rely on, because you're definitely your own individual person that stands on its own too. But it's like, you know, especially in music and stuff, like get me out a little bit out of my comfort zone. Throw me a curveball. Throw me something that's like going to challenge me to be better, you know?
The exact words I was thinking is like, we challenge each other's greatness.
Yeah.
I didn't know what kind of songwriter I was capable of being until he made music that pushed me to write differently. Because he wasn't coming at me with like grimy boom bap beats. You know, he was hitting me with this like soulful production. It was like, we look back and laugh now, but when he first started sending me beats, I was like, dude, this sounds like stuff that was made for like J. Cole or like somebody on Dreamville. Like, it was just vastly different than what I was used to. And now it's my favorite stuff. And I'm sliding and singing and like really expanding my songwriting and not caging myself to the verse chorus stuff. Like, you know, this last album we did, Giant Steps in Gate City, I had so much fun writing this music. It was like a challenging process because we put a lot into it, but writing the music was just so much fun, and I sat on these songs for almost the whole 2 years in between the first album and the second album. I just kept rewriting stuff, changing the track listing, changing the sequencing.
Yeah.
And it was a really good experience for me.
Definitely. That's like where like Mertz and I have had kind of a similar conversation as far as like once we start developing to like full projects that are like literally completely ours, is like, you know, getting onto shows and stuff like that, like where, you know, him like, and we, you know, you've seen him when we've done like Misery Loves Company, MLC, or my favorite was the round robin y'all did.
Yep.
That was super cool, but like him like just like producing beats like live on the spot, he's like, dude, like we could do stuff like that. But again, like kind of in a almost in a similar aspect too, and that's why like it really hits home for me when, you know, the things that you're saying when it comes to, I don't know why, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked because the emojis and stuff on the camera keep popping up. I don't know how they're popping up, but it keeps giving a thumbs down and it's annoying. And I'm like, dude, no, these are great conversations, stop it.
Camera's like, yo, this guest
Get him out of here. Host whack.
Nah.
late, talks too much,
Nah.
stories are boring, get him out of here.
Nah, not at all. This is knowledge, man. Listen, I get fed, man. But yeah, so him and I, it's kind of, you know, very, again, I don't want to say exact or even similar. It's definitely two completely, you know, different experiences. But like, yeah, his kind of the same thing, the production, you know, type of deal. You know, I'm usually the more sappy mood music, and you know, he's got the little more upbeat stuff, and I'm like, but I think again, in almost in the same aspect, it's like, yeah, that's kind of what I need. You know, I need to kind of, you know, but he'll still give me some typical J Faith. You know, let's really talk about our feelings here for a minute, but you know, just to be able to find somebody that kind of gets what you're trying to do, but also at the same point be like, no, we're gonna like try something a little bit different, and like you're gonna like it, not in a negative way, but like you're gonna like it, and then you hear it and you're like, oh yeah, okay, I get that 100%. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
You know, so it's been fun, and you know, and again, I think it's cool, like as like a full circle thing too, because like obviously like Mertz being a part, you know, originally from back in the day, and then you know, being able to work with people that have, especially for him, seeing me kind of towards the beginning of my career, and then you know, kind of coming full circle to like a point where like we're literally like consistently working together. Like he's like my only producer now, you know, because I was doing like, you know, Domini beats and stuff like that, and that was great. And again, I think it's one of those things. It didn't really push me necessarily into the envelope that I wanted to go into. You know,
I think with stuff like that, you're acclimating to that music,
exactly,
rather than a producer producing to you.
Exactly. So like, yeah, so like there's been times like I'll write and then I'll just bring the lyrics in and then we'll just build off the track, and I'm like, this is like,
that's dope.
Huge.
I love that. Mertz was like the third band member on this recent album that we did.
Nice.
It was like a huge difference because the first album, Byron not only produced it all but also engineered it, mixed it, and mastered it, and that just kind of like took the soul out of him at some point. So when we came around to doing this album, he was like, dude, I know you used to work with Mertz, like let's reach out.
Yeah.
And it was awesome because we just picked up, like, it was like we had just worked on the last album.
Word.
Like, that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
Because Mertz was on my first record label too, so I was really lucky to work with him in that capacity on 2 or 3 of my actually the last 3 projects I did on Vatican Life, he was like a part of the engineering process.
Nice.
Before he ended up going to the bridge.
Yeah. I think one of the production sessions that we had, because we do it on Sundays, we were from like 2 to 6, and then he was like, "Yo, like I think he was heading over to the bridge right after to meet up with you guys," and I was like, "Well, that's cool, that's dope." Like, just, it's cool to have that like family and stuff too.
Yeah.
I saw Bizza on Sunday. I did rap night.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's cool. It's just cool to like have these like opportunities to still connect with people, especially people again that you've had, just history with from not only, just like Vatican Life, MLC, but like, Bizza doing production on my Coach album and stuff like that, or a Settled album. And, it's just, and then to be present here and then being like, word, but just to catch up and just, see people. And
well, it's cool to look back because people tell you not to like look back and reminisce about the past too often, but like one thing that's hard to not notice is how many people aren't here. And it's not just from like a sad, morbid sense. It's also just from the reality of people like giving up on their art. Mm-hmm. We had the network of artists that we knew 10 years ago was crazy. And people that we thought were going to be the biggest names in our community, if not more. Mm-hmm. And now they're just like ghosts in the world somewhere.
Yeah.
Or you see them like do a Facebook update once in a blue moon about their wife and kids kind of thing.
Yep.
And it's like, man,
I feel that.
It's so different now.
I feel that
that's
for
why
sure.
When people have like stuck it out, it's like, all right, cool. Like,
yeah.
Like it makes me happy to be like, all right, I'm not alone. Like we're still here doing this.
Yeah.
That's when it become like more noticeable, because like we talk about longevity a lot of the time, and like other people just like hopping on gimmicks, hopping on trends. That fizzles out. You know what I mean? Like it's sort of like you're weeding through all the people that like weren't gonna last to begin with. You know what I mean? So to be at the other side of that, it's a good feeling.
For sure. And to just see your friends too, like you said, like seeing your friends stick it out, and you may not like be able to like fully track their progress throughout it, but like at some point, like you said, like, they end up in your algorithm again, and you're like, oh snap, like word. Dope. They're still producing. They're still making music. They're still doing whatever their passion is. Like, cool. Okay, good. I'm glad to see you do that. Cause like I think we said it the other day, like the question that I love, and I say that very sarcastically, is like, yo, you still making music? Like, yes. Like just because like I may not post every single day like Joe Schmo does, like doesn't mean that I'm not. And like, 2, like you're clearly not following. And again, could be algorithm, could be time, could be space, could be whatever. But it's like, it's like, yes, I'm still
that
here.
goes to our music consumption habits too, because it's like, I hate to be like a back in the dayer, but like back in the day when we were growing up, you would have never asked an artist if they were still doing something because they hadn't put something out in a year or 2.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
People would tour albums for multiple years at a time.
Yeah.
Like it was like not a thing to get music as frequently as we do now. Mm-hmm. And people's consumption habits have like made them sometimes like almost kind of gross, where it's like, you know what I mean? It's like it just feels like a large majority of music consumers don't like value the stuff that they're getting. But in response to that too, they're not getting a quality product all the time.
That's what I was
thinking. The
thinking.
barrier to entry is so different. The access to distribution is so different.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's great that everybody has that ability to explore themselves and to like give this thing a try. Mm-hmm. But it really has like damaged music consumption in a way of like, it's like, why are we not like putting CDs and records, or even if you're digital, if that's your thing, like how do we not still like pull these albums up from years and years ago? Right.
That's what I've been thinking too. It's like if you were to like really take a step back, look at like the music that's currently out right now, like is there a classic album that you can listen to within, I would say, like the past, I'll be bold and say it, past like 10 years, that you could consistently listen to, like front to back,
like over and over again,
like
it's
over
the
and
first
over again,
time.
like you could, like back in the day, like there's like albums like Hybrid Theory from Linkin Park, like I could rock that thing front to back 900 times and not get sick of it because it's just that great of an album type of thing. To plenty of the CDs that are sitting right there, you know what I mean? Like there's so many albums that like front to back, but like as you get closer to now, you're just like, I really can't name one.
I mean, I would say To Pimp a Butterfly sticks out.
I was thinking about, I was just thinking about that.
That one, and I almost said Good Kid, Mad City, but to me, To Pimp a Butterfly just was like the creme de la creme of like listenable, seldom to no skip, repeat value album.
Yeah.
Right.
Whereas now, like if someone drops a new album, like I'll listen to it like one time and that's it. That's all I need. You know what I mean? I really want to get back to a time where you can listen to an album over and over again and get that same feeling that you're pumped about it. You know what I mean?
Like I feel like those projects too, they're, and especially with like the quick consumption and like the quick releases that people do, like I said, like every week is a song or every other week is a song or an album or whatever. It's like to me, like that doesn't feel like that's your best work, because you're pushing it out so fast. Whereas like again, Good Kid, all these great classic albums, Pimp a Butterfly, it's like these things took a lot of time, and then they sat on it, and
there was years in between those albums. I was watching something today about SZA and another TDE artist, and like her and her label had a lot of issues because of how much time like went between releases and stuff. And I'm sitting there watching this video and like kind of just like acknowledging the complaints that she had, her manager or whatever. And I'm like, dude, some of these things that these artists are doing, like, do they not realize how much time it takes to align? Like an artist like SZA, like, should she have her freedom? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you have The Machine. You're signed to 3 labels.
Right.
And you're doing ad placements for some of the biggest brands in the world.
Literally.
You're doing fashion shows, music festivals.
She does modeling a little bit too.
Yeah, exactly. And all of this stuff has to be aligned with an album rollout. It's like you're not going to throw an album out for the sake of throwing it out. You're going to throw it out when you have all of this stuff lined up to push the album. And so it's like naturally these things would take years to pull off.
Right. Yeah, you got to put everything.
It baffles me that these like younger, and I don't even know if she's younger. She might be our age or whatever, but like
still
the generation that came after like the 2013 or whatever you call it, they just have this like insatiable need to constantly put themselves out there, and it's like
as if they're gonna fade away or something. And it's
like man, it makes it really hard to appreciate you when I see you all the time, and it just becomes overwhelming. Even some of my like favorite current artists, it's like they'll have so much stuff out that it's like I can't keep up.
Yeah. That's why I always use him as an example, but is like artists like NF, right? Like he'll literally disappear. And like and to me it's like almost I think it's a very good testament to the type of music that he makes for his fan base, in the sense of like, dude, homeboy disappears, and then all of a sudden like and I mean disappear like Instagram, like everything, like won't put up a post, and I'm like, man, like but in the same breath it's like, dude, when he starts posting again, it's like, yo, album is
it's
coming.
Like, oh my god.
but at the same time it's like, yo, he'll drop the album, but it's like because he takes so much time and he does the work necessary for it for pre-release and post-release, it's like you can sit with the album, he can disappear, but like because you're still so attached to the album, it's like he's still around.
It seems like he's very much earned people's attention.
Right. And he's still present.
Like when you go away and you come back and you're like, hey, this is my moment. People aren't mad at you for having your moment,
Yeah.
Sometimes if you're out there too much and then you are doing a thing It's like, bro, this thing is not. You're gonna have a thing next week. You gotta know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like sometimes you really have like. That's why like album cycles are such a big thing for me. Like the album rollout period. That it's like I really try to save my energy for those. You know, it's like I always joke. I'm like, yo, I tell the team like we're calling in favors. You know, it's like we got the album release show. This is when you start texting the homies and like hitting up family and friends and letting them know this is the important one. Like if there was ever one you were gonna do,
Right.
you know, it's like that
This is
kind
it.
of one.
Yeah, because it's just, yeah, there's just no appreciation anymore, and it's like it like sucks because like there's like, you know, on Apple, you know, you have your new music that's coming out, and you're just like, like I don't really have the urge because it's like,
Yeah.
you know, you're gonna have another album in like 2 weeks, or you're gonna have another single in 2 weeks. It's like, you know,
5 minutes, let alone 2 weeks.
yeah, like I don't even have time to appreciate it until we're on to the next one.
No, I'm sorry, not to cut you off.
No,
I'm
you're
like,
good.
I like be scrolling on like Spotify and stuff like that. I'll come across Kendrick and I'm like, oh shit, someone else. Oh shit, someone else. I don't know what to listen to at that point.
Yeah, it's like too much. But yeah, like the access to be able to create is so easy now. But like I feel like it's like detrimental now to the industry as far as, again, just enjoying. There's no enjoying music, and especially with like TikTok now, you get like 15 seconds, and that's what's really the hit now. It's not even like a full song type of deal. It's like 15 seconds.
That's why I'm such a physical media advocate,
Yeah.
because it's one of the last things that we have connected to the listening experience. You know, I mean, I know people have their feelings about it, so it's like I'm not here to like try and convince anybody.
Yeah.
But it's just like, man, I kid you not, like CDs, and that's the thing. People are big on vinyl, and I think vinyl is dope. But like, let's be real, it's not the most tangible thing for a mid to low budget artist.
Right.
CDs very much are.
Yeah.
And like having run Hellhound Publishing since 2018, we put the first like CD release out in 21, the Howling Man.
Yeah.
Every CD that we've done, with the so we just released number 15 on our catalog. That was Giant Steps. And there was a couple that we didn't release because they were like EPs. But we've put out probably like 10 plus runs of CDs.
Okay.
And almost all of them have sold like 100 to 300 copies a piece.
Nice.
Which like doesn't sound like a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
For what we manufacture them for and what we can sell them for, because the fans like are invested in it.
Yeah.
That nets us a lot of
Super
money
good.
back on how much we invested in making the out, like going to the bridge and working with Mertz and like having a photographer and, you know, paying for distribution and like paying for ad runs and all this kind of stuff. It's like, well, now we don't have to go broke doing it.
Yeah.
You know, because our core fans know what's up, and they know that like getting the CD not only is a direct support to us, but they get some really cool like tangible piece of art with it, and they either have a listening experience or they have a collectible art thing, and the digital's always there for them.
Right.
But I just think that like in so many art forms, because obviously I'm a big movie guy too.
Yep.
And it's the same thing there, where it's like movies have really kind of influenced this like insatiable love for physical media, because a lot, like, I mean, there's a number of reasons why, right? But one thing that I can always point out to people is there was an interview with Matt Damon. It was from some like red carpet thing or something. I wish I could remember the context, but they were asking about like the current state of movies and like why there's like so many sequels. So like frame of reference for 2024, the top 10 grossing movies in theaters were all sequels or reboots. There was not one original IP that was a top 10 grossing movie. And so basically they were asking him like, why do you think that is? And his answer was, a lot of it was because of DVD sales. And the reason that is because film studios used to take a bigger risk on original properties, because what would happen is it would come out in theaters, they'd have their 3, 4, 8 week run, whatever it was.
Right.
And then 3-6 months down the road, the DVD was going to come out, and it was like having a whole second release day.
Yeah,
And
I remember
sometimes-
those days.
and
Yeah.
home video culture has been so big at certain times that it's like there was movies that flopped in theaters, like Grandma's Boy.
I love that movie.
Exactly.
Movie is
Nobody
fine.
doesn't love that movie,
Yeah.
but it bombed in theaters.
Yeah.
It did horrendous. But most of us didn't even know it was in theaters.
Yeah.
My first time seeing it was on a DVD.
Same.
Much like a lot of people. And that movie sold like millions of DVDs. And so that's how they made all their money back. But you know what the coincidence is about something like that? When is the last time you saw a good original comedy?
Yeah.
You know?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And so you can kind of, and granted it's a different industry, so it's not like an exact parallel.
Yeah.
But if you put that into music, it's the same thing, where it's like, without the physical media, the label or you, the artist, whoever's like making the investment, all of your recoupment comes from your digital revenue,
Right, which is
garbage.
trash.
And so, if you put out a 10-song album and you needed, 20 hours of studio time to record it, and then you needed to mix and master it and get the art done, and then upload it to distro, CD, baby, whatever the hell you use,
Yeah.
you dropped like thousands of dollars by that point.
Mm-hmm.
And how are you going to recoup that on 0.03 cents or
Yeah.
whatever? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it just doesn't make.
The math doesn't math at
Yeah,
all.
the math doesn't math. The logic's not there.
Yeah.
And so it's like, why are we not, like, there's so many music listeners that don't encourage physical media. They're very comfortable with their digital library. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not here to, like, rain on anybody's parade. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
I use Spotify all the time. Like, it definitely serves a purpose, for sure. But I've never stopped buying CDs and vinyl and tapes and all that stuff, because it's like, the digital thing is almost like the appetizer.
Yeah, for
You know?
sure.
Because you have it and it's not going away, now you can be like, let me hear a song or two from this. Let me see if I'm into this.
Yeah.
And now you're making educated purchases. It's not as fun as when you would go to the store as a kid and buy something off the cover art alone.
Oh, yeah.
Facts.
But
100%.
it's like you're still having that listening experience, and people will be like, I don't have a CD player anymore. I don't know where I would listen to a CD. And it's like, all right, I don't know about some people's houses, but I have a Blu-ray player. I have a PlayStation. My car has a CD player. I have a laptop. Like, right there, I got 4 different. And then I go to the studio, and there's another CD player at the studio. I got a computer with a disc drive. Like,
Right.
and if I was really desperate, I could get a USB disc drive for like $30 on Amazon.
That's true.
So it's like, it's not a convenience thing. People are buying records. Some people that buy
Right.
records don't even have a turntable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And a lot
right.
of people just buy them to like, collect and look at.
Yeah.
And so it's like, that's cool. Like, you're still supporting the music, but like, you don't get to enjoy it, the experience. You
Yeah.
know? It's like, music was such like a tribal thing to me as a kid. Like, I would walk thousands of miles, I would I'd take a city bus and go wait outside of Newbury Comics at midnight to buy a new release that was coming out, or I would get my friend's older sister to drive us to Bull Moose and go to like, the midnight release, and like, this stuff was special. They were like moments. And
Yeah.
I can think of like albums that sucked that I cherish because of the like waiting in line with 2 of my friends before my 13th birthday at Newbury Comics, like those kind of things. And you don't really have that as much anymore.
The nostalgia,
no.
the nostalgia is gone.
Yeah, and there's
when
no
it comes
like,
to those.
there's no experience with these records. They're just like, it's like, oh, you've just got so much music. It's background fodder to your like gym clip or your like day in the get ready with me clip or whatever you're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like sound beds and background music and low tone for the podcast or whatever. And it's like, man, we used to like cherish music as such a thing. It was an experience. It's like I can remember holidays, like my mom had the like it was like the 100+1 CD joint.
Yeah.
It was, so you could put like 100 discs in this turn thing.
That's
And it
cool.
would be connected. So it was like every holiday it would be like loaded up with all these like classic like jazz and holiday. It was like, and it was a thing. It was like shut up and listen.
Yeah, you just hit play.
We're not complaining about the music because it's like special, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like we saved it for this experience. We're not listening to it year round, you know. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
all of these things had their moment, and it's just so tough to find those things now. And I know in my world I try to make them, and so like Hellhound gives me that opportunity to create cool experiences.
Right.
But they're very few and far between in general, and that makes it tough between rapid music consumption and lack of any personal experience with the music.
Right. I used to love like ripping, you know, CDs apart, just like looking at the artwork, the lyrics, you know.
Liner notes.
Right.
Dude,
Who produced it?
And see who they thanked, and that's how
Yeah.
I'd go to the store. I'd be going to the store and blind buying records from bands just because another band said thank you to them in the record.
Yeah.
That was it. It was like I didn't need to hear anything.
Yeah.
I was just like, if this band likes them, I'm giving it a shot.
Yeah.
Worst case, I lost out on $10.
Yeah.
Right.
My life will go on.
Yeah.
For real.
Like I used to get pissed like when you would like accidentally like crack the case of it. Too.
Oh, man.
You're like no, like it's like not
like, I need a
perfect
new one
anymore.
now.
You're like and then like it wouldn't close right, or like the one top piece of it would unhinge, so you couldn't do it. Like the nostalgia of all of that. Like even when I had an iPod Shuffle, which was like, you know, I don't want to say exactly similar, but it's like similar to having it right on your phone type of thing.
Yeah.
Like I was still ripping CDs, like I was, you know, and then I would just throw it in the car. Like the iPod Shuffle was for when I go for a run,
Yeah.
because like the no skip Discman was full of crap, full of crap. That thing skipped every other step. But like, you know, so you have the shuffle, and then when you hit the car, it's like, yo, where's my book of CDs?
Yep.
And I'm gonna throw that, you know, I'm gonna pick which one I want, or you know, if you have your regular CDs, and I'm throwing
listening
it.
to a whole album most of the time.
Yeah.
You're not listening to one or two songs and then going to another artist in one or two songs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was like you'd run the same CD sometimes multiple times in a day until it was like, all right, bro, I've heard Outcast Equeminize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Now I'm sick of it.
Yeah.
switch it up,
After
you know?
3 years.
Yeah, that was the thing
Like
too.
you're not
Yeah.
even sick of it. Sometimes you're just like, I just feel like I need to listen to something else. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, I'm like embarrassed that I've just had this on repeat all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I would get CDs and then I would rip them for like 5 days straight until like I was finally like sick, like just straight sick of it. But
Yeah.
then like once you got to that point, like you would bring it around the homies and be
Yeah.
like, yo, you hear this? Yo, this is my favorite part. Yo, would you, like, it just became a thing.
Buy like one or two CDs and those would have
Mm-hmm.
to last you like weeks, if not.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know?
Yep. Like you were, yeah, because I would have like, I don't know, like $30.
Yeah.
So then you know I was going to like FYE stuff like that. You know, right at Nashville.
FYE was pricey back then.
Yeah. And like I would go through and I'd be like, yo, like, all right, what's here? All right, like I can get this one, but then like, oh man,
No
like
way, Chris Brown.
I can't. Yeah.
No freaking way.
Yeah. Oh, this dude dropped it out. Yo, that's sick. I didn't even know it was coming out. But then you're like, man, like I can't get this one because I don't have enough. But like if I get this one, so then like now you're picking
I
and
get this one,
choosing
Mom's
like
gonna
which
kill me.
ones you want to get and which ones you want to deal with for the next
But you're
couple.
also already plotting to come back. You're like, yo, let me put this one in the back of
Yeah.
like Latin pop soul section that's
Right.
not getting looked at. And
Yeah.
I know nobody's gonna take this copy.
Yep.
I'm gonna be here in 3 weeks when I get paid again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Facts. Oh, those were the days, man. Now
Saying.
it's like I think too it's trying to get people to slow down a little bit too.
Yeah.
You know, like slow down and just enjoy the music that's at hand, you know? Just like we did back in the day, like, yo, just sit back and enjoy the CD for a second.
Yeah.
You know, don't listen to anybody else. Just listen to this artist and just enjoy it and like go through that experience.
Well, even like, when's the last time you went to a listening party?
Yeah.
Like, that was always a big
Yo,
part of
that's-
my like album rollouts. Is we've always done a listening party. To this day, I still do them. They're a huge part of what we do.
Yeah.
And part of that is because you can use that to set the experience. You can like set a tone for how people experience the record. To be like, look, I invited you into this space. The lighting is dark, or I set the colors, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Everyone's gonna listen to this record and shut up, and you're gonna listen to what is being said and composed and
Excuse me.
performed, and And then those people all took that and kind of carried that out. So when the record finally came out, you already had people that knew, like, this is a listening experience. This not cherry picking singles.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
It's something special.
But I can't remember the last time I was, like, invited to a listening party. I host my own, you know what I mean? But it's like, we got so many great artists, but people are just, as soon as their record's done, they want to upload it to distro and get it out there. It's like, bro, if this 4-song or 8-song project you're doing, or 10 songs or whatever, is that great, yo, give it, like, if you just spent $2,000 making this project and going to a dope studio and whatever, spend that same amount of money marketing it, you know,
Yeah.
or at least half of that, you know.
Get people to connect to it versus
Yeah.
just like, all right, new album, here you go.
Just don't
And then
set
it's like,
yourself up for failure. Where it's like you're taking this beautiful piece of work that you've put all this time and energy into, and emotion and soul, and you're throwing it out to the same pond of people that have been sitting there waiting.
Yeah.
And so it splashes, and a few people catch splashes. And then it sinks to the bottom eventually because you did the same thing and expected something different to happen.
Yeah. And then there's more weight on top of it because there's more music that's coming out. And then you're
Yep.
just like, oh, okay. Whereas if you take the time, like you said, like having a listening party, like I've done one. I don't do many, I'll be honest. But like the one that I did, like it definitely, and I should do more because like, especially after that experience, because like the way I did it, and you know, you could do it different ways, but like, I like would go through each song, but then I'd be like, hey, like this is why I wrote this song.
Yeah.
This is like behind the song, you know, really like getting people to understand the process of it.
Yeah.
And again, it's like it connects people to it, and then you're like, oh, okay, like I get where you're coming from too. And then like you said, once it drops, it's like, oh, okay. Like I remember what Jay said when, you know, we were listening to Right Mind or whatever.
Yeah, it gives you something to look forward to.
Yeah, we just need people to slow down. Like really, I think when it comes down to it, I think we're such like a fast-paced people nowadays. You know, from like, you know, even just driving on the highway, I'm like, dude, like why are you doing 100? Like get
For
up a
real.
little bit earlier and just get to work.
Get off my ass.
Yeah, just get to work on time. But like, I think it's just like a culture thing now of just that quick instant gratification. Everything's got to be fast. Everything's got to be received fast.
I need it now.
You know, the automation of everything now is like everything's got to be quicker. Like your phone's got to be quicker. The car's got to be quicker. You know, you getting your coffee's got to be quicker. It's like, what are we in a rush for?
Yeah.
You know, and same thing with music. It's like, why are we in such a rush to consume new music? Like, why can't we just enjoy the music that is already on our shelves?
Exactly.
You
It's
know.
like, you know, I hate to say it like this, but it's like we're essentially just pushing ourselves out of existence in a way, you know, because it's like, what happens every time we need to speed up a process? And I'm not trying to get like down some crazy rabbit hole. I promise.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, hear me out, right? Like,
I got you.
what happens when you need to speed up a process? It's not like people can do it any faster than they're already doing it, or they already would.
Yeah.
So we start implementing new computers. We start implementing new technology. We start implementing AI and algorithms and things of that nature. And so it's like, this is the world we're coming into. You can't like be afraid of it, you know?
Right.
But you have to know where to wield this stuff where you want it, you know? And so it comes to one of these things where it's like, if we value jobs that people do right now, pay people to do the right job. Pay the mom and pop, the solo contractor, whatever the case is. Like, cough up the money for it because you know the value of it. It's like intrinsic value goes so much further than the transactional value that you're creating.
Yeah.
And we don't want to, you know, it's like, I would rather AI serve me coffee than to write my songs.
100%.
You know, like, or I'd rather AI like pump my gas than to like take away my like ability to go to the bookstore and buy a paper book.
Right.
Like,
yeah, stuff
you
like
know,
that.
it's like, I don't even want to like think of what, you know, it's like, but the problem is like we're doing this with AI right now, and so that's why you're hearing like, what do you think AI wants to do? AI doesn't want to do the shitty jobs that we don't. AI wants to write film scripts and design graphics and make songs based off of like influences of, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
we can't. It's like, yo, dictate what AI and technology is going to do in our society, rather than letting it dictate us instead.
Yeah.
Because that's what music consumption has had. We let the industry dictate to us that streaming was the way.
Yeah.
And we all just like drank the Kool-Aid and went with it.
Right,
You know,
yeah.
Seldom did anybody fight back on that. And we're the ones that are reaping all of the loss of that, you know?
Yeah. And the artists too, like in
Yeah.
the creation of it, you know, because we're like, yeah, like you said, streaming is the way, and then all of a sudden they're like 0.0003 cents. You're like, wait, what? And Spotify like gets paid twice, and you know all the distro gets paid, and you're like, wait, like where? But I could sell a CD and make like 100% times that
Right.
off one CD sale.
And you know this, the CD plus the merch. Like if some people want to buy it in a bundle, that's even more.
Like, how did I start losing money when I was doing really good? The process changed.
We sell posters even to that note. Dude, you wouldn't believe, like, we make our own posters and sell them with like every project, and most of them do really well. Like, and it's such an affordable thing to make that it's like I don't have to worry about selling out, you know?
Yeah.
If I sell 5 or 10 prints, that'll pay for the 25 that I got made or whatever the case.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
and so it's just stuff like that. And what's cool about that is our fans will send me pictures of these like
Word.
posters up in their house. Like,
That's cool.
And we sell framed stuff as well as unframed. So sometimes people are willing to shell out for the framed. And it's like, it takes me going to like Michael's or Walmart or something,
Yeah.
buying a $5 or $10 frame, putting the labor in to do it together, and someone will pay me $30 or $40 because they know that I put my like heart into making this thing,
Right.
and my thoughtfulness of like packaging it the way that I did. People appreciate that. They're willing to pay for our labor and our care as artists, you know? We're so worried about talking about money or asking for money or whatever, but it's like, what is going to make all this stuff go around? you know? Like,
Yeah. It's more personable when you put in the work, you know.
Yeah.
It shows the, you know, the passion that you have into it, you know, to be like, no, like I want to take the time to like go to the store, package this up, maybe sign it, you know, whatever, you know, however you want to package it up, but like just the effort of that, like, yo, like this dude took the time to do that for me, like like I would have to go frame it, but like now I don't have to. I'll pay, you know, what you would pay to get it framed is probably the same as what you're paying for it anyways.
Yeah.
So it's
And
like,
if somebody's hurting for cash, we always got the unframed ones too.
yeah.
And my whole thing is like, I'd rather you walk away with something than nothing at all. So
Yeah.
it's like, let me work with you.
Yeah.
What means the most to me is that you're giving me real estate in your house to hang this thing up. I'll joke with people sometimes. I'll be like, dude, I'll hook you up, but you gotta send me a picture. And a lot of times they will.
Yeah.
And it's awesome, you know? It's like, man, what's more special than that when someone wakes up every day and like sees my ugly mug?
Right? But that's what, like, you know, that's like my shirt says, like just one. Like I would rather have like just one person that's got my thing, you know, on the wall, or like, you know, a CD chilling in their right in their CD player, like ready to be played, versus like trying to have like a bunch of songs on streaming and like there's nobody listening to it because it's faded away so far. Like, dude, I'd rather have that any chance of the day. Somebody walks away with my poster versus nothing or whatever. Like, yo, bet I'll take that any day.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of times we're at a show, and so it's like, all right, bro, like you just paid money to get in. You probably bought drinks. Like you got to get home tonight.
True.
Like, let me value your like participation in this thing that we're doing, right? Like I can sacrifice something somewhere to give you an experience that's going to make you come back and rock with me another time.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's the thing is, as artists, you know, we talk about sustainability, but we often see sustainability in like our own eyes as like, I need to earn enough money to pay my rent or pay my mortgage or pay my car note or whatever. And that's very valid. But sustainability is a two-way street, and so it's got to be something for the listener or the audience as well.
Yeah.
And like, how are you sustainable to them? Like, how can I actively be in your life and provide you value without inundating you with my main asset, which is my music? You know? And things like your podcast are a value to your community. You know, it's like, you create opportunities for other people to tell their stories, and that's going to have an intrinsic value to you when it comes time to share your art, because you've exported so much value that people, at least a percentage of those people, have to recognize that and be like, man, I just need to hear this, if nothing else, you know?
Right.
Let me just give it the first day spin.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like the traditional poster that, you know, we have with, you know, some of our favorite iconic artists too. Sometimes it's like just that subtle reminder, like, you know, you wake up, you're like, oh snap, like I haven't listened to the Right Mind podcast in a little bit. Like, hold up, let me go like run that back real quick.
Yeah.
Or like I haven't listened to a Cody record in, you know, maybe a second. Like,
Yeah.
I remember that time you gave me this poster. Oh, yo, I remember that song that was my favorite at the show.
Yep.
Yo, let me run that back real quick. And then it's like, cool. Like you've just created this like nice little domino effect of something, and you don't even have to literally be in the room to do it at that point. It's like it does it for itself.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like stuff like that. Yeah. Having that tangible stuff is super dope. And I wish all of, I know I've faded away from it and kind of in that same thing. It's like, oh, people aren't buying it and whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like,
I mean, that's the thing. It's
but
like,
the flip
I get,
side.
it's a risk to take, you know, and people have to manage risk in their own way. So it's like, that's why I always say, it's like, I'm not here to like
yeah.
put the sword down on people for not like being more active in the physical media world.
Yeah.
But what I do say is, like, as somebody who like has been a event coordinator for a number of years and has booked shows for a number of my friends, peers, favorite artists, and whatnot, nothing bums me out more when I can't buy your merch after the show.
Right.
Even if it's a t-shirt or a hat or something.
Yeah. It's worth
like,
it.
Dude, if you come 30, 40, 2 hours, whatever, out of your way to come rock for me, and you just show up with your music and no other means of like me remembering you after the fact, you're only doing yourself a disservice. Like, dog, bring some postcards or a business card or stickers, if nothing else.
Yeah.
You know? But
Right.
like, give me something to remember you by. And
Definitely.
I can't tell you how many times I've had people show up, do their music, and be done. No merch table, no like talking to the audience, whatever. It's like, I feel like I'm like a 60s politician after my shows. As soon as I'm done sweating, I'm out there trying to shake hands and talk to every person that comes to the merch table. I want to like ask them their name and know who they are, because it's like, I want you to feel like you're part of my world and vice versa.
Right.
Like, I don't want to feel too big that I'm out of your reach. I want
Yeah.
to feel like somebody that you always want to come and support, because it's like working class rap kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or that you don't care. Like you're
Yeah.
just like, I just came to perform, you know, maybe get your cut or whatever, and like I'm out.
Yeah.
Like type of deal. You know, it's like, no, like this is an experience. Like there's
Yeah.
more to this. It's personal.
And it's
You know.
like, are you there to entertain fans, or are you there to do practice laps on your raps that you're just going to do no matter what? That's the thing, is like, a lot of, especially in our community in hip hop, it's like a lot of people don't care what the audience thinks. They have this mentality of just like, I'm going to do what I do. Like, I dictate what people like, da-da-da-da-da. And there's obviously some, like, reality to that, you know, like, artists do dictate taste in a lot of way. But, like, nothing feels worse or, like, more condescending than, like, an artist who is, like, essentially bombing on stage, but is up there with, like, the most bravado and the most, like, cocky lyrics and the most just, like, unnecessary flamboyance.
Yep.
And it's like, man, this is sad. Like, I like to use shows as even like a rap night kind of show, right? Like, obviously most of us only do rap night once or twice a year or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I'll typically time it for the end of a year or like an album run or something like that.
For sure.
But a lot of times, you know, it's like, it's a different atmosphere than like a regular show. So it's almost like doing like a workout kind of thing, where it's like, I'm doing the songs I know that the rap night crowd wants, but I'm also like testing the waters, because that audience will give me a good gauge on if they like my song with like the singing intro, or if they like the song that's got no chorus, or whatever the case may be. You know, it's like, you can really go and like fine tune things and then take that out into the world when you get the offer to open for XYZ big artist at the 500 person hall or whatever the case is.
Right.
You know, it's like,
Exactly.
but a lot of people don't think like that. They just think that like what they're doing is what they're doing, and they're just there to refine that thing and make that thing perfect.
Yeah.
And I just think your audience can really like teach you about how to do you the best way possible. Where it's like, you've already made something that the audience likes. Why are you hesitating to ask them what they like and build upon that?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It doesn't take away your creative liberties to do your own thing, but like give the people what they pay for, you know?
Yeah.
I think about it a lot because like I'm sure you guys get it too, but like, dude, we have fans that will drive hours and hours to come out of their way to come to our show. We have people that have driven like 3-4 hours sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
One direction to come to one of our shows. I'm not skipping a song that one of those people came and requested.
Right.
I don't care if it wasn't in the set list. I'll look at my phone and read the lyrics and go up there and do my best shot if I have to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, as much as it is for us, it's for these people that give us this opportunity to do this thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you start losing sight of that, like, I don't know, the artist thing becomes really blurred. And it's like at some point you just kind of become like selfish.
Right. Yeah. It's sad. It's really sad the way things have like just so turned, especially like, you know, just the way we've seen it, you know, again, like when I first started to the way it is now. And it just, you know, it's definitely, but I mean, like doing what you do, you know, it separates you from what other people are doing. And it's like, okay, like I'm standing out over here and I'm okay to stand out over here, you know, so just keep doing what you're doing, man. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. I think a lot more, you know, not to get everybody to start doing the same thing all over again, but it's like there's, you know, especially those that are really serious about it, like, you know, we need to start falling back into these practices again because it's really beneficial for like long term, not short term. Like we're looking at long term, not the short term kind of scope of things.
I try to tell like my artist friends all the time. I'm like, dude, start a record label. Doesn't matter that I have one. It doesn't matter that this person has one. Like, start a record label because we need more record labels that are gonna impact and help and service the artists. You know, the whole idea of like, you know, forget the record label and all that came from a time when there was only major labels and labels big enough to screw you over.
Right.
We're in a different era now. We can be the change that we need. We can foster spaces that are going to allow artists to evolve and create that sustainability that we so desire, you know? And so it's like, I just can't stress enough, like, start a record label. Start a record label.
Yes.
Do it.
Get that first piece of merch made. Do your podcast. Do whatever. Just do something, you know? Because when you start doing something, you're eventually going to create value for people. Exactly. And that's what's going to change all of these different things that we've pointed out. All of our like grievances or annoyances, all are going to come from the fact that what we're doing is not generating a balance of value to what we take away from it, you know?
For sure.
We always, even if we go to these shows and we're not getting paid great money sometimes, you know, or the audience isn't what it should be sometimes, we're still getting something from it. We still took this opportunity to grow our platform on somebody else's dime.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So it's like, you have to think about what are you reciprocating in the long run. Are you just always asking for listens and asking for streams and asking for comments and asking for likes and you don't do it, you don't provide anything of value to people? You know, it's like, not everybody is a service person necessarily. You know, not everybody's a designer or a podcaster or whatever the case may be.
Right.
It's like, there's always something that we can do, even if it's offering some sort of like community space or like booking shows. I tell people all the time, anybody can book a show. Like, you could go right now to a VFW or an American Legion or some hall and pay them $500 or whatever, and they're going to open the doors and let you do your thing. And they'll probably have a bartender there on site that you don't got to worry about.
Yeah.
And it's like everybody has the ability to do this thing. It's about like taking the risk and like having the courage, but also understanding how much value that creates.
Right.
And finding people that are worthy of sharing that value with, that are going to help you grow that.
Yeah, and like once you do it, like hey, like maybe you are the turning point to like actually make that change, you know, and just like, you know, just lead something stronger, bigger, better.
For sure, man. Any final thoughts before we wrap? This has been super dope, man. Like I'm gonna have to play this back just to be like take some notes.
Yeah.
Dude, super grateful for you guys having me.
Likewise.
You guys
Absolutely.
waiting around for me while I was
Of course,
like,
man.
Yeah, hey, I mean, it wasn't a long wait at all. No,
You're good.
you know, I just obviously as artists, I try, you know, and having a podcast, it's like I understand the importance of time management.
Of course.
So I like always respect what you got going on, and hated that I was late, but
You're good, man.
this was
For
really
real.
great. This was like a really awesome conversation. I really loved doing this. I guess my only final words are, well, when does this come? This is like pre-recorded and comes out later, right?
Yes, sir.
So I won't plug any shows, but I'll just say Giant Steps in Gate City is the new album from Cody Pope and Byron G. It's available everywhere that you listen to music, and it's available on CD at hellhoundpublishing.com. If you would listen to it, it would mean the world to me. It's 18 songs, tells a story, and is a big part of this evolution of growth that I'm on. So
hell yeah,
Absolutely.
Take these giant steps for real.
Yes, sir.
Word.
Get the hard copy.
Preach.
Get the hard
Go to the CD
copy.
today.
Yes,
Get the
sir.
merch. Everything else that comes to it. Get your stickers, you
Get
know,
everything.
business cards and all that stuff. Yeah,
Exactly.
Get
Yeah.
everything.
Important. Leave a legacy.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to say God bless as always. I appreciate everybody. Shout out to Crispy, who is not here, but part of the team. We miss you, man. We love you, bro. Hope you're doing well. But until next time, my name is Jay Faith.
my name is Life.
We also got,
Cody Pope.
and this is the Right Mind Podcast. We'll catch y'all next time.
What's up?
Preach.